Tere hommikust ja tervitused Soomest. Suur tänu kutsumast. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. When I find my presentation here, I could go forward. Can I have some technical help there? All right, thank you. Right. So first of all, as your minister already said, aging is a great opportunity and possibility for all. Think about the alternative. So we have tried to extend the human life the last 100 years. And now we have succeeded in most of the countries. But from some other very strange reason, now many of the countries and the companies see aging as a problem. It cannot be the problem because it's a real success story. The main problem is that the work life is going to its own direction because of the new technology, globalization, financial crisis, etc. And our human aging process goes its own way. And these ways are going more far away when we grow older. That is the problem why we do have a great challenge finding out place for older people in the work life. So the big question is, what should be done? So I think the main issue what we have to do is to redesign the work life. Work life have to follow the human aging process. So work life have to move closer to the human beings when they are growing older. Of course, we have to do also something, taking care of ourselves, lifelong learning, as we have heard, etc. So we have to move also to the direction of the working life. But the major challenge and change what we need is a better work life, so that it is age-friendly for all age groups, for younger, middle age, but especially for older ones. This is our common task worldwide, and therefore all the information and knowledge how to redesign the work for people, for older people, is a very crucial issue. Before I go on, I would like to mention that there are some more readings. A handbook of age management looks like that. And there are some handouts of the table if you are interested to look what is the situation in the European Union. And the other book was the International Symposium on Age Management During the Life course, looking the situation over 3 generations, solutions over 3 generations. This book was published in the summer this year. So my working career, the first one was done in the Finnish Institute of Occupational Health, where I was working as a director of the Department of Physiology and latest charge in the life course and work team. And after that, when I retired after full service, I created a one-man institute. And I'm doing exactly the same now what I did before. And my intention is now to implement the huge scientific knowledge to the working life. I'm working in 5 different countries. Beside Finland, most of the time in Germany and Austria, where we are running large programs over 3-4 years. The Netherlands is making the fastest progress in the whole European Union, dealing with the workability implementation across the industry. And in Australia, we are conducting a redesign of work for aging society programs, also both for private sector and also for the state sector. So it's interesting to look at the different activities in different countries. So what I'm going to report today is to highlight some of the milestones, what has been behind that experience, what we have today. Few words about demographic change, although Professor Teed has already wonderfully expressed all the important issues. Then my main issue, ladies and gentlemen, is to open the workability concept, because that's the solution. And then finally, a little bit more, perhaps, political issue, what should be done in the societies like Estonia or in the European Union. So we started our actions already some 30 years ago, because Finland was the country where the workforce was aging faster than in all other European member states. And that was because the baby boom generations were so large after the Second World War. So we have to find first answer to the question, how long can people work? Where are the limits? We should find out how to measure it, and then how to implement this knowledge into the practice. That was done between 1980 and 1990s. And then after that, in 2000 onwards, there was a huge internationalization of these knowledges and methods what we have created. In the meantime, we find out that in workplaces, the managers and supervisors plays the most important role. They have the largest and strongest effect on the human work ability. Therefore, this was started to be called age management. What is the right way to manage older people at workplaces? And nowadays, there are about 200 different case examples, enterprises in the European Union, which has been now further studied, what are the secrets behind those companies using the right age management concepts. So we heard a lot of the statistics. I will show only one, dealing with the European Union 25 member states. If you look at the left panel here, you see what is the change of the proportion of the people in different age groups between 2010 and 2030. And you can see that the only group which is growing is that oldest one, 55 plus. It will grow some 15% from today. All the other groups will be declining. What does it mean? It means that the whole workforce in the European Union will be older in the future. There is no alternatives for the companies. If a company looks younger people, they can do it, but they never find enough people from those age groups. So I think the companies and enterprises, organizations should now realize that the work must be redesigned if they want that people, older people, are working there. We know that there are challenges when we are older. This is the prevalence rates of chronic diseases by age in the European Union. And you can see that it's a rather linear increase from the youngest age group up to the age group of 55 plus. So when we are here, about 1/3, every third employee do have some chronic problems. So it is increasing. So the work life must be designed in a way that people also with chronic problems can work. The positive results of that picture is that it's only 30%, saying that 70% are free from disease problems. So actually it's a wonderful results as such. The other one, as Professor Teeth already mentioned, the employment rate of 55 plus, they are actually terribly low worldwide. So if you look the whole OECD countries, and so you see that the average employment rates of that age groups is something like 55%, saying that nearly half of the people 55 plus are already out. And it's much more worse, the situation in the European Union, so it's below 50. So why is it so difficult to work? So people leave the workforce much too early. We miss half of the people in the workforce when they are growing older. That's very, very strange. And therefore we do have, ladies and gentlemen, these economic crises, because our employment rates are too low. There is no finances to cover the social costs of the societies. Therefore, the countries have to take loans. The whole European Union has used this concept already 15 years, taking loans to pay the social security system, because the employment rates are too low. The money, namely, comes only through working. There is no other possibilities. So, we do have there 3 generations, youngest, middle-aged, and older. And when we want to find out the sustainable concepts and results, so we have to cover all these 3 generations, not only the oldest one. So we cannot push the pressure only to the older one, that they have to work longer. So the real challenge in Europe is that the youngest age group, it's integrating to work life much too late, 2 to 3 years too late. The middle-aged groups, they don't have any solid work careers anymore. If someone becomes unemployed in the age of 45 with full work ability, it takes in average about 1 year before she or he finds a new job. So therefore, these unemployment periods are coming a reality nearly for everybody. And then the oldest are leaving the workforce much too early. So if we sum up that all together in Europe, we see that we are missing some 5 to 6 productive years per capita. So much we are missing today a real work from each of us in average, 5 to 6 years. If we can get that amount of work back, so we won't have any financial problems. So I think it's important to understand that aging is a success story. Of course, there are some changes which are going backwards, and it's mainly the physical capacities. And if you look the situation nowadays in a work life, it seems to be like that the work demands does not change at all, independent of age. It remains the same. But when you are getting older, your physical functioning capacity, cardiovascular and muscular, will decrease rather linear. So when you are close to 50, your capacity reaches just for the demands of the work. So you can still be working, but you are fully exhausted. You cannot recover during one night. So that has to be changed. And the solution is in the right-hand side, saying that we have to decrease the workload, physical workload, when we are growing older. That has to be decreased. At the same time, however, we have to take care more of the physical functioning capacity. So that can have, we can influence that, comparing that without any activities. So it will stay in a much higher level if we have a good lifestyles. So this is telling then that the 60 years old people do have the same reserve capacity than the younger one. These are the equal opportunities then. So two things has to be done, decreasing the physical workload when we are getting older, but also taking care better of our functional capacities. So from the mental side, we know that there are some changes in the basic cognitive functions, like memory issue or psychomotorics. There's a negative relation between age and basic cognitive, some cognitive processes. But the experience through work will compensate all these negative changes. So if we are measuring the work performance in a real life, in a companies, it will show that there is no change in the work performance due to the age. Even the opposite, that the older have better performances and productivities than the younger one. And that's because the experience, what we do have. The third thing, what we have been talking already shortly today, is the lifelong learning. Learning is not dependent on age. So no one who is younger than 75, 80 years old cannot say, I'm too old to learn. But the older people learn differently than the younger ones. So the learning process changes with age. And that has to be taken into account when we are, let's say, introducing the lifelong learned concepts. We have to use the right didactics and pedagogics, how the older people are learning, for example, computer skills. All this information is available, but the companies doesn't use that knowledge in an appropriate way. Then we come to the main issue, human ability to work. What are the crucial dimensions of the work ability, what we know from the work ability today? We have put together all the information of the huge scientific data over 15 years, and we have built up a house based on this knowledge. And you can see the house here in the right-hand side. So there are 4 important dimensions in the work site. This is your workplace, that house. You have there your resources, human resources, which can be divided in health and functional capacity, competencies, values, attitudes, motivation. These 3 floors explain today the human resources to work. Now when we are talking about work ability, it means that this 4th floor, this is the work to be done, including everything, work tasks, work environment, also working community, social, psychosocial issue, but also management and leadership issue. Now, work ability is the relation between the 4th floor and the 3 lowest floors. If they are nicely in balance, then your work ability is good, independent how old you are and what you are doing. So our target is to find a best possible balance between work and my resources. They are staircases in a house showing that all these floors are interacting. They have an effect on each other. And in the third floor, you see the balcony. It's sometimes good to get out and have a look what is nearby, important, which has an effect on your workability. And then you recognize it is the family issues, it is your hobbies and your social environment, your colleagues and friends, relatives, they play a role in your life. They have namely an effect on your health, and they have a big effect on your values and attitudes, factors which motivate you. So we have actually 4 factors inside the workplace and 2 outside the workplace which have an impact on your balance all the time, every day. So you can understand that having a good balance is a quite challenging task because you have to take into consideration 6 different factors. And now we have the largest challenge here, that's the operational environment. Here in the European Union or worldwide, everything what happens here, globalization, new technology, financial crisis, everything has a direct impact on the work. So therefore the work organizations have to redesign all the time the work procedures. And of course, this is a real challenge for the employees because the 4th floor is changing all the time. And because we are getting older, all these 3 floors are also changing. So now we are actually in a situation where all the factors which have an impact on your workability are changing. Therefore, finding a good balance is a real challenge, and we can only create it if we are working together. So the employer and employees has to build up the house together. Otherwise, there is no possibilities. Employer alone can't do it, and employees alone can't do it. But together, we can find a good balance. Then we have our government making the rules and framework for the working life, so they play also a role there. And it's important that they should understand that they are exactly in the same boat than where the employer and employees are. Germans has used the house model. This is a small wooden house with 4 floors. And we are conducting a lot of training programs in Germany where we start first by introducing the health. When you understand that, we go to the competence issue, then the values, attitudes, and then the work. So when you have done all these 4 workshops, you get the roof. Then you have your workability. The idea to make a wooden small house is that workability is a concrete issue. It is in my hands. This is my house. So it's not a theoretical concepts, not only science, it's a real life. And this has made the workability as this house model a success story worldwide. It has been now implemented already in 28 different countries. So we can measure what is the situation of the house by using, for example, the workability index. I'm not going to introduce that more. It has also been translated in Estonian language already in early 1990s and used in several studies. And so this is available. But let's have a look of the results if you take the whole population like in Finland. What is the balance? We have age here, and we have now the level of the balance here. And you can see that there's a slight decline through the ages. So it's not getting better, it's getting a little bit worse. It should be getting the other direction because we are more experienced, it should go better. But this is because the fourth floor work doesn't follow our aging process. And there's a missing adjustments, what we can see behind that curve. But although it's going down, most of the people, the Finns, in average, they stay in a good and excellent level. Here we have the healthy worker effect when we are 54 plus. But we can say that about half of the Finns could work up to 70 years of age. So they are able to work. Other questions, are they willing to work? And third question, may they work? Is there a workplace available? So I think this is the situation in most of the European countries, that the retirement age could be much higher, what we have been discussing today. You might know that the oldest company in the world is a Vita Needle in Boston, US, where the average age is 74 years. Average age of the employees is 74 years. And the oldest one is 96. She started to be full-time last year. Earlier, she was doing part-time work. All these people retired normally, but when they stayed at home for 5, 6 years, they figure out that that's a very boring life. If you are talking with your cats, 2 years, you are ready. It's better to do something important, some meaningful life. You have social connections, you have people to discuss, to learn, and therefore they returned back to work. They didn't need to do because of the financial issue, but they wanted to have that. And this is only an example that there is no upper limit if the work is designed in the way that you can and you will work. So in a small and mid-sized companies, if you look the workability issue, you will see huge differences between the people when they are growing older. So here we have some 700 people. And you can see if you are older than 45, the distribution of people based on workability goes from excellent to the poor. So the variation of your workability increase remarkable when you are growing older. Therefore, it's important that the work is designed in a way that everyone can be active. Of course, it's necessary also to prevent the premature decline of the workability. As you can see here, I think it's about 40% of the people, they should be prevented from the decline of the workability. It's very costly for the organization if they don't do anything. As you can see here, if your balance is poor, only the sick leave costs per capita per year is something like 3,500 euro. Comparing to those having an excellent balance, it's only 200 euro. It's a 15-time difference. So if the organization would like to improve their productivity, they should promote workability. There's also data from the Netherlands. As I mentioned, they are doing large programs today. This is a data of some 85,000 people. And you can see now how the workability will change with age. You can see that the industry curve goes like that. Financing sector has a little bit slower decline. But you can see that, for example, teachers in schools, they have a very remarkable decline because school system for teachers does not change at all when they are growing older. And here you can see it in the figures. In Finland, we have seen that the situation in the labor market is rather well organized up to the age of 50. These are the groups which are full healthy. They don't have any problems at all dealing with a health issue. So no limitations in workability. But then after that, 55 plus, you see a sudden increase in the limitations. So it cannot come from the first floor. It must come from the second, third, fourth, or the family work relation. Telling that only being healthy is not the solution. We have to look the other floors as well. The Dutch people have studied the productivity loss in relation to workability. And they have figured out that when you are in sick leave, there is a productivity loss before that and also after that. So the question is, how large is that and how much it is related to the workability of the people? And they find out that the reference when you have an excellent balance that's the target. But if you have a poor balance, your productivity loss is 26% higher. So already mentioned, but once again, that the productivity depends on workability, and you can see how large is the effect of the balance in the house, being productive or not productive, pre or after the sick leave periods. So now the crucial point is what should be done in the company levels, and then we talk about promotion of workability. And here you can see the summarizing figure of the effects of the promotion. So if there is no measures at all in a house, so no activities dealing with these 4 floors, then your curve, independent where you are working, is something like that. So working alone does not prevent workability from declining. You have to do something else. So if we do the health promotion, this is the most common activities in enterprises. So you can have an effect on the workability. It will improve. But as you can see, it's not sustainable. So only investing on health and functional capacities is not the solution. We have to operate in all different levels of the house to find the better balance. And very crucial point is here the training of the managers and supervisors into the topic of age management, generation management. They have to learn what does it mean growing older, what type of redesign is needed in a workplace. If you do that together with the other floors, then your curve looks like that. Your workability will improve with advancing age. And then there are probably no upper limits how long could you work. So of course in the company levels, each company have to decide what is our target. Normally, if I look the experiences from Finland, the companies say, okay, we need to have a good health for people, good competence, positive attitudes, and we are ready to redesign the work that's good. Then the company should identify what are the actions to be taken to get this target. Interesting point is the 3rd floor of the house, because that's the most important floor. Because my attitudes, my values, my motivation is in that floor. My decision is made in that floor. If I would like to work here farther or as long as possible. Therefore, we have to pay more attention to the 3rd floor so that it will be loaded positively. So my experiences of work life should be more positive than negative. This is the crucial point when we are talking about older people at work. We have to load third floor in a positive way. We have also figured out that it's a good business for the companies. If they do that, they will get their money back. So the return of investments will be in average threefold, telling that all the money you are investing over these floors return back at least threefold. Because the sickness absence rates decrease, work disability costs decrease, and the productivity of the people improve. So, ladies and gentlemen, if we go now to the society level, and we think what should be done, I think there is at least 5 different issues to be done. And here you can see it. We need first the attitudinal reform, saying that we have to change our attitudes towards aging. This is the only way to change the management issues, leadership issues, so that they can build up an age-friendly work life for all generations. We need more and better health services because we are getting older, and then we should operate better in a different levels. Also the politicians and the employment authorities should work together with the company people. What we have learned in last years is that we should make the positive things first, negative later. This is the right way of solving the problem. Positive things first means that we should make a better work life so that people can work, they will work, and they may work longer. They are 3 important issues: can, will, and may. And we can use the workability house, it's an evidence-based concept, how to solve that challenge. After that, we can reduce then the early retirement options. This is the last figure, ladies and gentlemen. Some of you probably have seen it. It's telling something about generation issues. So the upper part is the workability for Monday to Friday. And here are the older people. So you see that we are in the best shape on Monday because we have a very resting and nice weekend, eating well, sleeping much. And when we are then coming to the Thursday is today, so you can see that there is already some problems. We see that we need some recovery, and we are waiting for the weekend. Tomorrow, when we are finished at work, we have given everything out because we are highly committed to the work. We hardly find the way back home directly, and that's the problem for the men. Here are our children, the young generation. This is Monday. So it has been an unforgettable weekend, and they have lost all the dimensions of the workability house. They don't know where the floors are, and they need one day to build it up again. On Tuesday, they should find out what they have really been doing, and when the Friday comes, they are full of energy because they understand weekend is coming, life is starting. For age management, of course, this is a very challenging issue because we should be fully active on Monday and Friday as well. And therefore, the advice for age management in company level is that bringing different generations together, please start on Wednesday when they are exactly on the same shape. They understand better each other and can start cooperating. Ladies and gentlemen, tänään tähdelläpanu est.